Hello, and welcome to the Hive Mind podcast, where the collective wisdom of the travel industry helps you match travelers with the right destinations and the right hotels. I'm your host, Whitney Schindler, founder and CEO of The Hive, a platform designed to get travel advisors organized, actionable insights they can put to work right away. Each week, I sit down for focused, real-world conversations with travel advisors, hoteliers, and supplier partners who know these places inside and out. We break down how each hotel is best suited to a specific client profile, take quick deep dives into destinations, and share pro tips to help you make the most of the Hive. And here's the best part. You don't need to take notes while you listen. Go about your day, tune in, and know that every insight from these conversations is already captured and organized inside the Hive. You can find them in the supplier pulse section on the platform. And if you aren't on the Hive yet, you can get resources from this and other episodes when you join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. Today we have a new episode of The Essentials, but we're taking a new approach today. Rather than diving into a destination, we're diving into family-friendly accommodations and what we as parents and travel advisors are looking for in a hotel experience to truly qualify it as family-friendly. While working with a family ready to plan their next trip, when you're able to bring an accommodation to life with confidence and clarity, you build trust, you spark excitement, and you make it that much easier for your clients to say yes. Joining us today is Lee Friedman, owner of Mango Tree Travels and one of our favorite family-friendly travel experts. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. This week we have an episode that is a little bit different than our typical Stay Guide or Essentials podcast. This actually was inspired by another advisor who wrote in and said, I want to know more about family-friendly hotels. What do you look for? What's important? What have you learned taking your kids on trips? And I was like, ooh, I love this topic. And there is one person who absolutely must join me. So thank goodness she said yes. Here with me today is Lee Friedman of Mango Tree Travel. Lee, it's always so great to see you and to have you on.
Thanks, Whitney. That was quite the intro. I appreciate it.
So when it comes to family friendly, this has been your business from day one. And it's just very, very relevant for me at the moment because I am traveling with two very small children. So it's just very top of mind. So I'm really excited to dive into this. Let's start. Will you share with us a little bit about just the origins of Mango Tree Travel and how, like, first, what is Mango Tree Travel for anyone who's listening and who doesn't know? You absolutely have to know Lee and what she does. And then just kind of give us a little bit of the backstory of what even instigated this idea and why were you motivated to do this? And like what friction or challenges were you facing when it came to finding family friendly options for your own family as it started, I believe?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a lawyer. I wasn't in travel at all. I had a totally different career and my kids were 1 and 5 when I started the business. So that was 4 years ago. They're now 5 and 9. And travel had become a really important part of my life as a parent. Like I always loved travel, but I found it like really brought out something different in me as a parent. I've never been like that great at like playing in my house. Like I get
Hmm.
very distracted by chores, but when I travel with my kids, you can leave the chores behind. You can like really engage with them, and it brought out a part of me that I love. Like I love to
Hmm.
travel, so I get to do this thing I love with my kids, and I didn't want to be a parent that I don't know. It just never occurred to me to be a parent that took a big long break from travel because I had kids. You know, there's like a lot of rhetoric out
Or
there about
or to
yeah, go ahead.
travel and leave them behind.
Right, right. Or to travel and leave them behind. Like
Hmm.
I wanted to bring them with me. But I started to get really frustrated. I didn't even really know travel advisors, but that was an industry at this moment in my life. I was very much like a do-it-yourself planner. And I got really frustrated when I was searching for hotel rooms in particular. There's a couple things. One, that the internet kept telling me I had to go to the Nickelodeon resort in Punta Cana because I have children. I just was like, I don't understand. Why is this where the internet thinks I need to go? I didn't go to places like that before I had kids. Like, why do I have to go there now? And two, I kept putting in like my kids' ages and like two adults, two kids, like 1 and 4, and kept being shown like rooms with two double beds. Like that is not a room configuration that actually really works for a family with kids who are 1 and 4. Like, why are you making me put this in if you're not actually going to use that information to then recommend a room that actually works well for my family? And I started to get really
Oh
like
my
mad about
gosh.
that. So, right?
Hoteliers, please, I hope you're listening and taking notes. This is like my
Like,
biggest, like, why? on every single website do I have to not only enter the children and then put in their ages, and
And then
then you're just
it
like,
doesn't
we
tailor
have
it.
no rooms. We have no rooms for you, or it doesn't give the rooms that even match, or we're just no availability. Like, just
Yes.
straight up tell us that you have no
Yes.
rooms for two adults and two children, instead of going
Yeah.
through all this rigmarole to, oh, yes, okay, here
And
you
now we're already
I
getting
feel
down
you.
to another pain point of mine, which is even worse, which is that on hotel websites, you'll sometimes put in two adults, two children, 1 and 4, and it won't show you a room that's a 1 bedroom suite because the system has that maxed out at a capacity of 3. If you email that
Mhm.
hotel, they will let you sleep there with your 1 year old and your 4 year old because they can put a crib in the bedroom. But that doesn't get tailored on these hotel search
Yes.
engines.
And
And
I
so,
can't,
yeah,
some of them you reach out and they're like, no. And then some of them you reach out and they're like, absolutely. So just
right,
put the information on the website.
right,
Why do I
right.
have to email and take all the, how many opportunities are actually, so if you are a revenue minded hotelier situation, how many opportunities are actually being missed because people aren't taking that extra step to reach out? You have to be
Yes.
really motivated to open up your
Yeah.
inbox, hit compose, email reservation, wait for a response, blah, blah, blah. If how many revenue opportunities are being missed simply because the actual capacity of the room isn't accurate? And if you
That's
actually
right.
can accommodate, a family of four, provided that one of the children is under 3 years old or whatever your limit is, then that should be online in the booking platform,
Even if it's in an FAQ section, like give it to us somewhere, even
in the
that's
description of the room
available, right?
category, like
Yep.
something.
There's one
Yes.
hotel I love in Portugal. We all love, every travel advisor loves this hotel, and it on first glance doesn't always necessarily appear to scream family friendly. It's just like a beautiful
Mm,
countryside 5-star hotel. If you look at
mhm,
their room descriptions, they will say this room can accommodate like 2 children and 3 adults on a rollaway with a crib. Like they
mhm.
make their room descriptions like very family friendly. And I know I'm sort of like getting ahead of us, but when I think about like how do you tell if a hotel is family friendly, those are the details that I actually really think matter. Like you look at that hotel website and you might not get past the honeymooners, but if you're digging around and you see that
Mhm.
they know how to describe a room that works for families, then they've thought about it. And that's, I think, for
Exactly.
me now, I
Mhm.
understand like the thinking about that somebody on that team is thinking about families is for me
Yes.
like the number one thing I think
Mhm.
of. But anyway, I
So
digress.
let's go back. Let's go. We'll get to this because there are many that
Sure.
are doing it really, really well and that we
Yeah.
love. Let's go back to your friction points that it was just
Yep.
like, I just want to travel with my children. Why is this so hard?
Why is this so hard? And the big friction points were why is it so hard to find a hotel that really works for families that also matches my vibe? Like I am a person
Yes,
on
that is
vacation too.
also good. Yes. Oh my God.
Yes.
Thank you for
Right?
articulating this. Because there,
Yeah.
it feels like, I don't want to say it's in marketing, but it does feel like in a lot of the searches or a lot of what you'll find if you search for family friendly, it's like, well, here's everything for the children. And it's, well, where can I enjoy a nice
Yes.
beverage and some relaxing time? Like I'm on
Yes.
vacation too, just as you said. And very few websites or Google searches or even Claude searches at this point, very few of them hone in on, this is great for adults and families.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That like families are a big part. Families aren't just the kids, right? You're not just, and that really, I think it comes from a lot of ways. I like thought about this a lot because I still, now I'm 4 years into business and we plan like hundreds of trips for families, but I still have so many calls with clients who are new to family travel or not even that new to traveling with their kids. They'll say things on calls that are like, well, we need like a water slide and we need like an X and we need like an X. And so, I mean, some of these hotels are probably responding to what parents also sort of think. I don't know what the chicken and the egg problem is, right? This is what parents have sort of been taught they need on vacation. And also, hotels also lean into that a little bit. But so I don't know. I'm having trouble articulating that, but I spend a lot of
Mhm.
time communicating with clients and pushing back a little bit to say, well, would you have picked a hotel with 15 water slides and like a big buffet and before you had kids? Is that a place you actually want to visit, or do you
Right.
just think you need
Right.
that because you're traveling with your kids? So
Otherwise,
that's
the
like
kids will be bored.
otherwise the
Mhm.
kids will be bored. And what if the hotel has thought about little details that make the kids not bored, that isn't 15 water slides, and that actually connects you a little bit more to the destination? So that's kind of how we evolved a little bit. But I started Mango Tree to be like, there has to be a place where parents can find hotels that describe a place that describes which rooms fit work for kids and describes the vibe of the hotel in a way that speaks to parents. And so that's what Mango Tree started as, was a website that was modeled a little bit after like small luxury hotels, where they describe the hotels on their website, or Mr. and
Hmm.
Mrs. Smith. You know, we
Hmm.
describe hotels purely in a way that speaks to families. Why do we like it for families? You know,
Hmm.
what does it offer families? But also describes the room configurations and why we like the hotels for everybody. You know, like it's not just about the kids. So, and we,
So I know that your website has like a million details on it, but if you were to like high level, like top three things you're looking for to even consider if a hotel is family friendly, what are some of those like big things that you're
yeah.
looking for? And then if you find those, maybe you continue searching to see what else they have. But if they don't have those, you're like, is this really family friendly?
As an agency leader, one of the biggest challenges is making sure every advisor delivers the same level of expertise and service. The Hive helps you do just that. It's a shared expertise vault where hotel notes, destination insights, and advisor experiences are captured once and accessible to everyone. That means consistent professional client experiences across your whole agency, without you carrying the weight alone. Check out thehive.travel to see how it can support your team.
Funny, I think that's changed a lot over time too, because now the more I travel with my kids and the more I see all
Hmm.
these hotels around the world, the more I'm willing to stay almost anywhere with them. And so I have to remind myself that not every client is me and not every parent has the confidence to go to any hotel with their kids.
Okay, so you
I,
answer this and then I'll answer this and we'll see if
okay.
it's similar.
Okay, the big ones for family friendly. The biggest one is the room configuration. And you know, I when I started, my kids were 1 and 5, and I do think there's a really unique window in time where even connecting rooms don't work for you, right? I'm
Great.
not putting my 1-year-old and my 3-year-old in a connecting room. I need some
Hmm.
kind of like a suite situation to sleep comfortably. So when
Hmm.
I first started the business, and that still remains to be like that's the number one thing I look at first, is what's the room setups here. Now my kids are older. I'm willing to sleep in a room with two double beds with my kids if I need to. I can tolerate it now, right? But that's the first thing I look at. I like small hotels. That's the second thing I look at. And that is because I think there is a freedom of independence for both parents. Freedom of independence, that doesn't make sense, but like freedom of movement, or like fosters a sense of independence for both parents and kids at hotels with smaller footprints. So that matters a little less in cities. Like every hotel has a small footprint. But we try to get families a lot outside of cities. And we started in the Caribbean, where we were trying to kind of find the anti all inclusive resort, like these places with personality. And one of the first things I really learned was that I can ask my 4-year-old to run back to the room and get his iPad if the room is not that far from the pool. I can't ask my
Okay.
4-year-old to run across an 800 room
Hmm.
resort. And so for me, I really think families can thrive in like small hotel environments. So that's like a big thing I start to look at. That's not like a deal breaker, but it's a big
Hmm.
thing. What are the other things I really look at? Just something. I think if a website doesn't acknowledge families as like a key component of your market, or tell you a little bit what it offers for families, I have a really hard time moving past that, because I do need to get a sense that there's like something for kids to do on property, even if it's just like the ability to help you arrange something for families or a tour for families.
Hmm.
It gets a little different for me depending on where we are. Like, are we in a city,
Yeah,
or
for
are we on
sure.
a beach, or are we in a countryside, in terms of what my top priorities would be? But what are yours? I'm interested to hear what yours
Well,
are.
my mind is kind of going in the same direction as yours.
Yeah,
Is like top priority number one is room configuration. And then we start getting into, well, it depends what I'm trying to do on this trip.
right. Exactly.
So if I'm at a resort, then I'm looking for certain things. And if I'm looking to relax and I'm looking to kind of stay in one place and like vacation, I'm looking for certain things. Whereas if we're traveling and I'm in the city or we're going to be out and about doing things, I'm looking for totally different things. And I actually need
Yeah,
a lot less. But what I always need is the room configuration.
yeah.
And I think that you're talking about like the sleeping arrangements and making sure everyone's comfortable and making sure they're not off in a separate room. I also consider room configurations a factor in the total investment. I For
Oh,
me,
yeah.
when I see that a family of four, two adults and two children, whether it's one room or connecting rooms or two, doesn't matter what the configuration is, but it is just copy paste double the investment for accommodation compared to just a couple, I'm sorry, but that hotel is prioritizing profit and bottom line, and they are not thinking about families.
And I hadn't put it, I'm glad you articulated it that way because I really, really have a hard time talking to clients sometimes because they're not always thinking, especially if they're new to traveling with kids. They're not coming into the conversation being like, okay, I've had two small people, so my travel costs are going to completely double. And
Right.
that might be true, right? It's four people. Like, I understand that, but there are so many ways to make rooms work
Yes.
for families. And
Mhm.
when hotels won't do that, here's an example because I think this is a really good example of like how do you know that a hotel is not really trying to be family friendly? There's a great hotel in Costa Rica that would tell you all day long that they are family friendly, but they have all these
Mhm.
villas. They're these one bedroom suites. They will only allow two adults, one child in those rooms. No
Ridiculous.
exceptions.
That's not a family friendly situation.
And I've seen
That's
those rooms. They can fit a family of four. That is you are prioritizing. And that's okay, right? That's the choice they're making. But that
But then
hotel in
don't
particular
market that
pretends to
you're
be
family
family friendly.
friendly. Yes, exactly. That's the point. It's like you do what you got to do as a hotel and
Right.
whatever. But where my frustrations lie and where like the origin of this frustration for me started was as someone who has two small children who are currently 2 and 6. And so I'm very much in this,
Yep.
like they cannot sleep in a different room, but then also trying to build the hive and be like, well, I want to support advisors in finding hotels that are family friendly. The way that we are not going to do this is ask the hotel if they are
Yep.
family friendly, because that any hotel salesperson will tell you that they're family friendly. And what I've kind of come up with just over the years is that there's a spectrum of family
Yeah.
friendly. On one end of the spectrum is an adults only property that children are actually not allowed. One notch above this is, well, we tolerate children.
Yep.
And many of those hotels who quote unquote tolerate children will tell you that they're family friendly. And this is where I want to raise the red flag and be like, stop this. Stop saying that you're family friendly because you're not. Just because I can bring my child doesn't mean that you are thinking about families, that you are planning for families, that you are advocating for families, that you are prioritize families. You're not. You're simply allowing them.
And frankly, there are some parents that would choose that hotel because they knew it wasn't that family friendly, right?
And that's totally
And that's
fine.
wonderful. And what a great way to help you find the people that you actually want at your hotel. Like the
Mhm.
families with one quiet child might love that
Yes.
hotel. Oh, families with
Yes,
a
exactly.
teenager who loves to read might love that hotel. And they would love
Yes.
to know that they're actually going to be primarily in an adult environment because they don't want
Yes.
screaming children running around at the pool. Like it actually
Yes.
helps you if we talk about niching down, and I know
Hmm.
hoteliers maybe aren't always looking to niche down, but maybe they
Hmm.
should.
It would
The
it would
mark,
make it easier on us. Mhm.
right.
No, I totally agree with you that none of this is good or bad. It is when the marketing doesn't match the experience,
Yeah.
or not only the marketing, but the sales pitch or the sales presentation or the website or whatever communication you are putting out about your hotel, and then we arrive and it's misaligned. It doesn't connect. This is actually what I'm trying to break apart. And so instead of asking a hotelier if their hotel is family friendly, I'm not asking for opinions or perspective anymore. I'm asking for facts. And so
Facts.
this is kind of what we're coming up with. Do you have room configurations that can
Yep.
accommodate two adults and two children in one room? Yes or no?
I have another
That's
really
not an
good one.
opinion.
No, that's not
Please
an
tell me.
opinion. I think asking about menus at the restaurant is really
Mm-hmm.
instructive. What time does dinner
Mm-hmm.
start? And I know the
Yeah.
Caribbean, they started in the Caribbean. The Caribbean tends to actually run later than we all think. A lot of restaurants don't open for lunch until noon or don't open for dinner until 6 or 7. And that is going to be quite late for a family with young kids. And so
Yep.
asking what the flexibility is. Okay, well, if my child gets really hungry at 11 a.m. before lunch opens, like what's the option for food? And if they haven't thought about that, those
Mm-hmm.
are some things that I actually like start to get you into the who's really thinking about this. Is there a kids
Mm-hmm.
menu? I'm not like because I try to foster, treating families as units and not just about kids. I would never say a hotel is not family friendly if they don't have a kids menu, but it
Agreed.
certainly helps you to understand like how they're coming
Mm-hmm.
at the market because
Yeah.
most American parents really appreciate a kids menu, even if it's just the pricing, even if the food's still adult food,
This,
small portion
this.
size,
So, as I was thinking, yes, this. So, as I was thinking about restaurants, earlier opening times, or just always having one food source at all times. And this would
Yep.
definitely be more for a resort than a city hotel, of course. This is part of it. And then the kids menu part, as I was thinking through this, I was like, actually, my kid doesn't need buttered noodles or chicken nuggets. What I want is the kids' portion and
Yes.
pricing. My children actually eat what we eat.
Yep.
More often than not, we just order a little bit extra for the adults and then give them some.
Yep.
But
But
what drives me bonkers is paying like an adult like price with an adult portion for my 5-year-old who eats like a bird and is going to take a few bites, and then you don't take leftovers in a
yep.
hotel, right? Because like
Yep.
where are you going to put it? So the kids menu is like check number one. Okay, you have a kids menu, that's great. But what I actually want to see is either a kids menu that is not cheese pizza and chicken nuggets, for the love
Yep.
of God. Children eat other things. Not all children eat other things, but a lot of
A
children
lot
eat
of
other
children eat other
things.
things.
And or if a child is ordering off the a la carte menu, offer us a smaller portion size
Yeah.
and like a child appropriate pricing. That's actually what I would prefer, is just don't have a kids menu. Give us the normal menu. I'll tell you this is what we're ordering for our daughter, and you just portion it appropriately.
Yeah, yeah. Funny.
Clearly a
All the
chef
like
can do that.
amazing kid menus that I've experienced at some great hotels are running through my head on one side, and then a lot of the terrible experiences some clients have had. Like again, we're not like just throwing out anecdotes, but there's a super family friendly, I think, Caribbean hotel, generally speaking, very family friendly, very high end. Everybody has a great time there, but they will make your kids, you pay $50 for the kids buffet. And my
Mhm.
like clients came back being like, I loved that hotel, but also like by the end of it, you're like, really? Like there
Yeah.
was no other option, and it
Yeah.
really takes away from the experience for even families with money. It doesn't matter what level of like price
Yes, I
point you're
agree.
at here. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to spend $50 for their
Mhm.
kids like dinner, like
Yeah.
because no, everybody, because my kid's gonna eat that fry, maybe whatever.
Mhm. Well,
Anyway,
and if
so
you have small children, you never know what you're going to get on any given day.
yeah,
Are they going to eat the
yeah,
entire buffet, or are they going to push everything away and then an hour later tell you they're hungry? That's where we're at with my
right,
children right now. So that's also the frustration. So
yeah.
I totally agree with you. I'm trying to think
What else? So we look
through
at dining
other like
times, we look at
friction points.
hotel configurations.
The room configurations and the total
Yeah,
investment is like the biggest thing for me.
yeah,
I think that when a hotel responds back and they don't even have a single option for a family of four, like I think that accommodating a family of four, like it's when we get to five, I understand when it's okay, listen, we need 2 rooms, we need connection rooms, we need a bigger suite. But a family of four is such a nuclear unit that like a
yes,
family of four could technically be on a king bed and a sofa bed, or two doubles or two queens, or what, like a family of four can very comfortably be in some of
yes.
these room setups. And sometimes it feels like you're just saying no to say no.
Yeah. And
And
again,
so
make
when I
great if you don't want families, but don't say you're family friendly and then right, exactly.
Well, it makes it feel like you're just trying to double the
Yep.
potential revenue out of this booking. So there are some hotels that are really, really great that can accommodate 2 adults and 2 children, 2 adults and 3 children in one room. And this is the number one thing that I ask for hotels to share with us so that we can have it on their Hive profile. So that when we're doing a search, and like I travel with my family, and yet when I get a client reaching out because we have 3 children and we want to go wherever, I'm literally like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we
Yeah.
go.
Well,
The
yeah.
next 3 hours of my life is going to be simply browsing freaking hotel websites, trying to figure out where you can even potentially stay. Not where I love, not
Yeah.
where I have relationships and preferred partner amenities, not where I can actually speak confidently about. I'm simply looking for like, where can you even potentially go?
Yeah.
And
I
that
mean,
is
I'm
a
sure
really
you
crappy way to start a new trip
it
design.
is. I'm sure you've learned this trick too. And this is why I'm like upset. Like, this is probably one of the tricks I use most often is I never search hotel websites for a family of five. I only ever search for a family of four. And then I ask if
Hmm.
they'll put a third child.
Hmm.
But people don't know that. Like we
Hmm.
know that because we do it all day. But,
It's time
I've actually
consuming
families
either
of
way.
five, I think have learned that. Some of them will be like, yeah, we've learned never to search for a room for
Hmm.
five because
Hmm.
hotels will tell us there's nothing. So
And some
that's a big
hotels,
one.
to
Yeah.
your point of some hotels that aren't really family friendly, or there's not, it's just not going to be a hotel that like attracts a lot of children. But I can tell that someone on their team was like, this is an opportunity and families do stay here, are the brands that offer 50% off the second room.
Oh yeah,
I
there are a
see
few of
you.
those.
I,
That's amazing.
but they're there.
They're
But they're
there.
there. And it's generally like bigger brands that do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Because they can afford to.
It
Yeah.
But I think it's smart. I think it's smart because it goes into not only of everyone being comfortable and safe and whatever, but it specifically drives home the investment point.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to double your investment just because you have children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, they're like, I see you, 50%
Yeah.
off the second room. That impacts a trip in a huge way.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny. I understand the like not giving 50% off the second room. I am more on my high horse about offering single room configurations that actually could work for a family four and being flexible about like how you'll help a family stay in that
Hmm.
single room if they don't want to double their investment.
Hmm.
Because then it's a choice. Then you've at least given them a choice, right? That's you can either spend more to get that extra space,
Hmm.
or we can comfortably accommodate you in a room creatively with
To
rollaways or
to your
pullouts. Yeah.
to your point, in these hotels that do have a large footprint, that like the
Yeah.
space is there and you're just simply saying no. Yeah, I think no, I think that that's a good point, that when you show up, sometimes you show up and you're like, oh, a fourth person could have never fit in here. Like the
Yeah.
space is not even there. And then other
Yeah.
times you show up and you're like, I could have absolutely fit a fourth
Yeah.
person in here if you just would have simply let me. So why are you saying no? Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and this is where you start to get a little bit into that. I know we'll talk about like intangibles and why it becomes so valuable to see these hotels, but
Hmm.
you wish salespeople could know these details a little bit to help you learn this before you stay there. We stayed at this hotel in France that we were on a more of a budget for that part of our trip, so we did decide to share one room, even though
Hmm.
we don't always like to do that. And it was a room that looked like it would be kind of tight, but we did it anyway. It was a king, and we had two rollaways. But what made the whole experience, and the reason I send clients back to this hotel, is that the closet space was quite large around by the bathroom, and the housekeeping team was amazing. And so they would swoop in after we would leave for breakfast and put everything away. And so whenever
Wow.
we went back to that room with our family of four, we never felt like we were sitting in like a pile of our stuff because there was like
Mm.
enough space to put it all away. There was also a balcony where we could sit after bedtime, and there were great blackout shades. So like
Hmm.
everybody could sleep really well. And so it was like those are little details where you're like, this room with four people actually worked really well. But it was really it would have been really hard to know quite how well that room would have worked if you hadn't actually sort of
Hmm.
experienced it with your stuff and with your kids. So it's a really hard thing to be able to speak to if you haven't lived it.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
feel like we are on the same page here. I think that it feels like a big point of our frustration and friction is room configuration plus the investment impact of a family.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
think that's
like
the top. Yeah.
if there's any hotel out there that can either alleviate one or both of these, of be like, hey, we've got rooms that we can comfortably accommodate families of four or five, you just tell us what you need. And or hey, we understand the investment component. We don't want to double the investment either because we want more families to come. I want to shout those family hotels from the rooftop. And I
Yeah.
want to put them on my short list of, if clients are going to Paris, here's my top three family hotels. If
Yeah.
clients are going to Lisbon, here are my top three family hotels. That's what I want to do.
Give me
And
like
it
two more
is
years with Mango Tree, Whitney.
well, and this is what
I'll
I'm
guarantee
trying
you
to do. This is what I'm
with the
trying to do
hive.
on
I
the
know.
Hive as well, is
Yeah.
just make it super, super easy to filter through for all these filters. Because if I have a family and it's two adults and three children, the first thing I do is I go to the Hive and I'm like, show me hotels in the destination where they want to go, and I filter for room capacity of two adults and three children.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only current limitation at the moment is hotels not completing their profiles and like giving us the
Mm.
true room category specifications of
Yeah.
which room categories will actually work. But a lot of hotels have it. So I find solutions and I go with those. If you make it easy for me to find who can accommodate my
Yeah.
family in one room because their investment is not going to be all tied up in accommodation, I'm booking you first every day, all day.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. What's so interesting to me is that most of my clients who are families, we talk a lot early on about how they also don't all want to be in one room with their kids
Mhm.
because parents sleep better when they actually have a separate space. So I do
Yeah.
think we're also a little bit on like, where are we in the travel journey? Is this like a
Well, then it
hotel for two
comes,
nights in Paris, or is it your
sure.
resort for the week, right?
But to your
Um,
point, and this is
yeah,
something that you just have to get to know about clients, it's still
yeah,
along the room configuration line, then it's understanding connecting rooms.
yeah,
Because if
yeah,
clients definitely want two rooms because they want two bathrooms, they want everyone to have their own bed, kids are probably a little bit older, that's totally fine. That now the filter that I'm trying to use on the Hive is connecting rooms.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if you here's a big pet peeve. If you tell me you're family friendly and you won't guarantee connecting rooms when I'm booking,
Oh, that's not
you
even a
are
real thing. Like you're not
you are
actually.
not family friendly. But how many hotels? How Many hotels will look you in the face and say, we are family friendly, and here are all the reasons why. And then they won't guarantee connecting rooms.
I feel hotels have gotten better. Maybe I'm now narrow. I've narrowed down on like
I
who I
think you
even
figured out
ask. I
which
think
ones are
I've
working.
figured out which ones are working because I don't get that as much. But that just might be. I think I've learned my hotels like a bit.
I
But
think
yeah,
you
because
probably have your short list, just as
yeah,
I was kind of saying, who
yeah,
can accommodate two adults and three
yeah,
children? Like I've got that short list
yeah.
because I've done that research so many times, and I imagine you've got your short list for these will guarantee. And so anyone who won't guarantee, you're out of the running.
You know what's so interesting
Like,
too is I can think of 2 or 3 hotels off the top of my head that when you search on their website, they list a family room, and that family room is really just guaranteed connecting rooms.
yes,
So
yes.
they've
Is
thought
it
about it
Conrad?
enough.
Is it
That
like
one's
Hilton
one.
that
There's
does
one.
this automatically?
Yeah, but I have two that like just like boutique hotels that list family
I
rooms, and that
love
family room
that.
is connecting
Yes.
rooms, but they've listed it for you, so it
They
means
are
they're
listening.
guaranteed. They're
They are
thinking about it,
thinking.
right?
They're thinking
Yeah,
about
they're
families.
thinking
They're
about
put,
it.
yes, I've seen this too, and I
Yeah,
absolutely love this. And in that case, it's not an investment question. The family is asking for two rooms. They know they
right.
want two rooms. They understand that's double the cost.
Yep,
But now it's trying to figure out we don't want two rooms on different
yep,
levels, different floor. We want connecting rooms. And this, it's telling a family with a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old that you'll find out if your rooms are connecting when you check in. You can just take a hike. Are
that's
you
not
kidding
even.
me?
Yeah, I
Tell
don't
me you
even
don't have
consider that
children without
hotel.
telling me you don't have children.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's not
whoever
even.
made
Yeah,
that decision.
yeah. Yeah, that goes so far
Okay.
as like even if there was a room that would work for families, I now don't like that hotel and I don't want to put my clients there. So like that pushes me like far the other
Hmm.
direction. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so we've got a lot of frustration points and friction, but they are all pretty related to room configurations
Yeah.
and understanding how everybody can be comfortable because once you're set, once you know this is where everyone's going to be, this is how they're going to be accommodated, we know everyone's going to be comfortable, and this is what we're going to invest, we can just happily move on with our
Yeah.
lives. We
And
don't have
then
to
you're
continue thinking, and
then
then
you're
we can have
back
a
into the
vacation.
normal fit. Yeah. And then you're back into the questions of like fit, because I do think we've talked about
Yes.
not every hotel that welcomes kids is still like the right fit for each family. But that's what we do all day in our lives is figuring out what the right fit for our clients is. And
So let's talk
you know,
about these nuances and the
yeah,
right
yeah.
fit. So, like, we've got the room configuration, we've got the price points, we've got whatever we need, rollaways, connecting rooms, whatever. Like, that's done. Now we've narrowed the scope to like all of these hotels that we believe are technically family conducive from a configuration standpoint. Now there's nuances to
Yeah.
still really decide which family are we going to put where.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some of the nuances that you like really look for and consider?
Gosh, I think a lot about service. That's a big one. And it's not just service. It's like treating kids. This is something you can really only identify, I think, if you've stayed at a hotel
Hmm.
or people have told you about it. But if staff at a hotel go out of their way to know my kids' names, like I can think of a few like hotels I've stayed at recently that just went out of their way to make my kids feel like they were really people. And that I
Yes.
think can set the whole vibe for your trip. Like it
Hmm.
really, and it makes hotels, and a few of these are hotels that don't otherwise, again, scream families because they're more formal, they're more luxury. I know a lot of families think that they need to kind of err on the side of laid back and casual because children are children and they're going to be loud, and you're not going to, don't put me in that more formal, stuffy hotel. But if a formal hotel, it's laid back luxury. If a formal hotel is happy to have your kid in the lobby in his pajamas in the morning and offer him an extra cookie, like that kid is going to love that like
Hmm.
hotel, and so are you. So
Hmm.
that is like huge intangible for me of sort of
Hmm.
like, are kids going to be treated like real people at this hotel?
Yes. Another
Yeah,
nuisance.
rather than a nuisance. And then you start to get into little things. I think the landscape for kids, I mean, like, are there stairs everywhere? What's the pool configuration? Like, can they move freely? Little things like that, depending on your kids' ages. If there's teenagers, is
Hmm.
there something they can go to independently? Then you start to
Hmm.
get a little bit into the what is the footprint and physical feel of the hotel look
Interesting.
like if you had kids in this space. I think a lot about that.
So resorts are way more nuanced than like city hotels when it comes to
Yeah.
family friendly things. So let's dive into resorts first because I think that this is where we'll spend the majority of our time. So I hadn't really thought about the actual footprint of the hotel, but like you're not wrong. If you've got tiny
Yeah.
kids, having to walk 6 miles to the beach is not
Yeah. It's
awesome
a
because you're
huge
probably
pain.
carrying
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about restaurants a little bit with earlier dining times and kid-friendly menus. I think the hotels that I've stayed at that are family friendly, that like welcome children, but they're not made for children. This isn't Disney or
Okay.
Nickelodeon. This is
Yep.
hotels that I'm thinking about that I send families there happily and I send couples there happily. I think this for
Yep.
me is my personal happy space because it's a space that I can be content and that I'm enjoying my time and my kids are enjoying their time. So the food stuff is there with everything that we talked about previously. And then I think about the swimming pool beach situation. And if you tell me you're family friendly, okay, so this has happened. I went to a hotel, family friendly hotel. You get on their website and they've got a family pool and an adults only pool. I'm like, okay. I can't see very much information about the family pools because hotels are really, really bad about specific photos of specific
Of their
parts of
pool.
their pool.
Really
Take a
funny that you
photo
say that.
of your swimming pool for the love of God. Please. Like we need
When
to
I
see it. And the
first
reason
trained, when I was first training one of my staff members to help me write the hotel profiles that go up on
Mhm.
Mango Tree, one of my very specific instructions was like, I don't care how you find it, like hone in on your Google skills, find a picture of the
Oh
pool.
yeah.
Like I need
Oh,
you to visibly
I am
find a
on
picture of the pool.
TripAdvisor. I am on
Yeah, same,
TripAdvisor
same,
going through.
same.
But why do I have to do that? One of the
I
most
don't know.
one of the most incredibly family friendly luxurious hotels in Mexico that I saw most often and I've been and they are indeed family friendly. Not a blip or a comment or a photo mentioning that they have a
Like the
full
pool.
splash pad for kids.
Oh yes.
Why
I know several
why
hotels. Why
can't
wouldn't you put that
I want
everywhere?
I want to see it. I want to
Yeah.
see it with my own eyes to prove that it is indeed a splash pad in the way that I'm envisioning. And where is it? Are we thrown off to the corner where the parents aren't having any fun because there's not anywhere close to service who's going to bring you a drink and some nachos? Or is
Yeah.
it in the area where the actual big pools are and is kind of right there? I mean, I'm having
Yeah.
such a hard time to not spout hotel names right now because there's one
I
hotel
know, me
that
too.
does
I'm
this
trying to like,
very, very not great. Like it's there, but you're kind of like, you feel like you've been like
yeah, you're in the kid
sequestered
area.
off to the side. You are clearly in the
Yeah.
kid area and the parents are having zero fun, but the kids are. And then
Yeah.
there's another hotel
Yeah.
that we love and that we return to because the splash pad is right by the taco bar.
Well, I want to
Like,
know what hotel this is, but
mhm.
and that's
So,
what some of our European hotels do so well. I got really, started in the Caribbean and I still get a little frustrated about like the way resorts sort of feel in certain parts of the world. Because when you go to Europe and there are certain family hotels, I mean, the market for family hotels in Europe that put
oh my God,
kids'
Europe
shared
is so
spaces in
family
the
friendly.
lobbies and then
Yeah.
the kids' clubs and the food is good. Like there's a lot more options. Like I think that there are like what calls themselves a family hotel in Europe is really attractive in certain parts of Europe
Hmm.
compared to what calls itself a family hotel in Mexico or the Caribbean. And like
Sure.
that's just a very different market in terms of what's actually a good family hotel. So now I'm just on my own other, but that I think I had like that, and that's I think what I mean when I think of like physical footprint. It and if we're talking about how hotels can help us, gosh, I love a hotel with a good resort map. Like the resort, it's just so helpful to understand where things are and see pictures of these amenities and like how they fit together. It's really that's
Yeah.
like a big part of it.
So,
Yeah.
like, A, we need to know if you have it because parents
Yes.
are genuinely making their decision based on if you have a splash pad or zero entry swimming pool and where it is located. So, not
Yeah.
only let us know if you have it, but show us a resort map, show us photos, let us understand where it is because there was another hotel that I stayed at and they had a family pool and an adult only pool, but there were no photos. And so I'm just like, well, if you've got a family pool, then
Must be
it must
great.
be a family pool, right? If you've got it like clearly distinguished from the adults only pool. No, no. We arrive and the family pool is 5+ feet deep. There's no gradient.
Yeah.
It's just deep. Even I like had to stand, it wasn't like up to my waist or something. It was like up high. And there was clearly a swim up bar there at some point, and it was just like empty and
They
not
just
being
turned it.
used. Mhm. They just flipped it. And so in their minds,
Mhm.
they were like, oh, adults don't want to listen to kids, having fun and screaming
Yeah.
and playing. So we'll put the families over here and the kids over here. And somebody made that decision and walked away and never asked any more questions because we
Yeah.
we walked by the adults only section. There's a shallow end It's closer to the bathrooms. Like for all of the reasons it was better. And I was like, but why? Well, it's nicer.
Yeah,
It's nicer.
because it's
So they
nicer.
gave it to the adults
Yeah,
only. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
that's just great for you all. But like, we're here at this hotel thinking that there's a family friendly hotel, and we actually cannot use it because our children are too young and they are not water
yeah,
safe. So I
yeah,
can't relax. I don't want them within
yeah,
30 feet of that pool unless I'm literally holding them. And that
exactly.
is like example of a million that I have of you are not family friendly. Get out of here with that
Yeah, yeah.
distinction
And
that you're
with that
selling me at
distinction,
trade shows and at conferences. Get out of here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that I think, yeah, that's a really like great example of that for sure.
So swimming pools,
Um,
I'm looking, I don't need all of the above, but I want to know, do you have zero entry?
yes.
Do you have a splash pad? Do you have water slides? Like it's not a make or break for me if you don't have a water slide, but I need to know if you have one. Because if you do, I will highlight that. And if you don't, then it's fine. It doesn't matter, right?
And it's,
It's just a question.
two or three of my sort of like more affordable, because I do a like a wide range of budgets and I love like my boutique hotels in the Caribbean that are not like high luxury, but that have these great two-bedroom suites for family. They're where I send
Mhm.
families that want. I ask question on one of my favorite questions on a client intake call is if I told you that you could have a higher luxury stay, but you all had to stay in one room, or you could have a lower
Ooh,
luxury but split up and be in like more of a condo style room where you have a kitchen or two full bedrooms, like which do you naturally gravitate towards? And people are all over the
interesting.
map. But so I have hotels that I love for that second set of clients that really do value the space, but don't necessarily have the budget to invest twice at a more luxury hotel.
Mhm.
And some of them don't have great swimming pools. And that's the trade off. Some of them have deep swimming, but at least I can tell clients, you look, you're on a
Yeah.
wonderful beach. The beach is great for kids. It's calm, it's lovely. You have your space to spread out, but no, like you're not going to be spending a lot of time in the swimming pool. And again, some families are like, fantastic. We actually prefer the beach and we don't want to spend that
Yes.
much time. But
Yeah.
all of this goes into helping us match our clients with hotels that will
Yes.
actually satisfy them. And that's what our goal is, right?
So when it comes to the beach, if you're family friendly, I sure hope you have a bucket and a shovel
Yeah.
that my kids can play with.
God, the number of emails that we have to ask hotels that is really, that's another, like,
Oh
yeah.
my
Yeah, just
goodness.
put them to,
Or when
yeah.
at the swimming pool you have inflatables that like people have left behind or you have some and people aren't packing these things, or if they are packing them, we would prefer not to. But when I get to a hotel and we're on the beach and we're just playing and then someone comes over and they're like, "Hey, does your kid want a bucket and a shovel?" I could kiss that person. Oh
Yes.
my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes, they do. Thank you. I was
Yeah.
at a hotel recently, which is not even technically a resort. They are a resort. They're not on the ocean. They provided water diapers for free at the pool.
That's pretty awesome.
Somebody
That's
came into
amazing.
the gift shop when I was in there, like looking to buy them, and the woman was like, "You don't have to buy these. They're free. Just ask the pool
That's
attendant."
amazing.
And I was like,
Wow.
"That's
Wow.
amazing. Bravo."
Yes.
So, okay, so
Yeah.
we've got, I think the next big thing that I look for is the kids club situation, which I
Yeah.
also feel is there's like a whole spectrum when we talk about a kids club. Whereas hoteliers often present it as a yes or a no. And I just
Yeah.
don't believe that this is the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually start first by just making sure, like asking, like, what's the childcare options? Because I
Hmm.
do think that not every family wants it. That's right. Again, it's a fit thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
do
but
we
you're,
want a
I
kids
mean, this is a
club where the
question that
kids
you want
are
to ask. I have plenty of families who are
the
like, we're not a
clients
kids club
first?
family. We're not looking for a kids club.
Yes.
And that's good to know.
But I still want to go
Um,
out to dinner once with my husband,
yes.
while I'm
Yeah.
on vacation. So can I arrange a babysitter? Is there a
Yes.
way that we can make sure that these families can have 2 hours to themselves, even if most of the
Yes.
time they
Well,
want to
a
spend
spa
time with their
treatment.
kids? Yeah,
Hmm.
a spa treatment, right? I want them to be able to
Yeah.
enjoy the spa. How are they going to enjoy the spa? Can you help me
Yes.
arrange like a child something? That's a big starting point. Even if it isn't a kids club family, I still want to know that
Hmm.
one. But I think you're right. The range of kids clubs is vast.
If you had a family come to you and say, "We do want a kids club, our children do enjoy a kids club," how do you then start doing your due diligence? Because, in my opinion, do you have a kids club, yes or no, isn't really enough information. What are the types of things that you look for in a kids club to like really evaluate? Is this what this family is looking for when they say they want a kids club?
I struggle with that one. That's one I really have a hard time with. I think I'm in like taking a little bit of a step back. I try to think, what questions would I ask? I like to ask for an agenda or a description of it. I like to ask for information about the kids club from the hotels, because first that will sometimes provide, like, some hotels will tell you they have all these scheduled activities, and then like you'll start to see little nuances like in the red lines of sort of like, this is a random one, but I just stayed at this great hotel that is very family friendly, but there were parts of it I really didn't like. One of them was the kids club sessions were all like 90 minutes, and they like fully clean the kids club between every 90-minute session. And you're like, so you have to pick up your kids. Like, your kids can't go for more than 90 minutes. And I was like, okay,
How am I supposed to go get a spa
fine.
treatment if I have to drop them
I
off,
had to
walk across
run.
the
I like
resort?
dropped him off, like
Oh my
ran to my
gosh.
spa treatment, and then had to pick him right back up because like I only had 90 minutes, and I was sort of, and there was like no flexibility that was really weird to me for like a
Mm,
lovely, very
yeah.
kid, like welcoming hotel.
Mm,
I should probably provide them with that feedback. But
mhm.
like little things like that, you start to see when you ask them for materials about the kids club. And again, then it's just a way to sort of like at least understand what we have. Like, same thing. We had some clients who went to another kids club that had a morning session for 2 hours, afternoon for 2 hours, but they wanted the golf. So like that kids club wasn't going to help them golf because golf
Mhm.
is a longer. And it's not that they
Yeah.
wanted to stick their kids in a kids club for the full day, but
Yeah.
when they wanted to use it, it was, so I think hours. So obviously we have
Yeah.
to ask
That's
for
a good. Yeah.
age, hours, and sort of like, do they have programming?
Yes.
Some kids clubs are like, here are the activities we're going to do during those time periods. You can get a feel for if that's something your kids would like. Do
Hmm.
they break kids up by age? Because that means they've thought a little bit about what kids actually like at certain ages. I
Hmm.
love to see a picture of the kids club, because then you can get a better feel for, is it a gross dark room with no windows, or is it a space my kids might actually want to be in that's like bright and airy? So
Hmm.
those are the questions I start to ask, but it's
My
really
first
hard.
question.
It's just like the pool, like until you've
Yeah.
seen it.
Confidence is everything in this business. It's what earns client trust and makes the sales process feel effortless. But confidence doesn't just come with time, it comes with access to the right knowledge. That's what the Hive delivers. Whether you're just starting out, scaling fast, or leading a team, the Hive is your expertise vault, a living library of hotel details, destination insights, and advisor takeaways, all organized to help you build confidence faster and serve clients with clarity and ease. Learn more at thehive.travel.
My first question, because I learned the hard way, is like, when you say you have a kids club, is it just a room that I can
Yeah.
take my children to play, or is it
Oh,
actually
yeah. Oh,
supervised where
right.
I can drop my children off? Because this hotel that I love with the splash pad,
Did they call it a
their
kids
kid,
club without
they call it a
staff?
kids club, and there's no staff. It's literally a
Oh,
room
that's not a
with
kids club.
toys that you can take your kid
Yeah.
to play. And I'm like, no, no, I I want to go get a spa
Yeah.
treatment. Like, this
Yeah. Yeah. You
isn't
can't call
an,
that a kids club.
no, it's like
Yeah.
a
That's
kid's room, maybe like an
family
entertainment
room. There's one
room
hotel
for.
that I recently was at that called it a family room, where they had some like
Okay.
toys and board games and things, but it was very clear that it is not staffed. There
Yeah,
was no question about that before I arrived. Yeah.
I like the name family room. I feel like that is far
Yeah.
more descriptive than a kids club.
Yeah.
And then same, I look at all the same things. So the programming, the ages, and I totally understood if the programming is only for like ages 4 or 5 and above, because that's when the children have the attention span to do something that lasts longer than 3 minutes. But then what are the options for toddlers?
Yes.
When it feels like their kids club is for 5 and above and they're not thinking about toddlers, that doesn't scream family friendly to me, because a lot of parents need a vacation because they have a baby,
I
because
think
they
that
have a
this
small
is
child.
one of the biggest things I've started to try to think about, like how to refine for Mango Tree in particular, like the hotel profiles, is that
Mhm.
0 to 5 is a whole different parenting
Yes.
world than 5 to 10 and then teenagers. And it
Yes.
is very
Yes.
interesting. Like a lot of families have told me, and I'm seeing this, that as their kids get older, they need more activities, right? A toddler will throw rocks off a bridge for an hour
Yes.
while you have your
Yes.
coffee. A
Yes.
6 year old is not going to do that. And so I see where like activities for kids 5 and up, including at a kids club setting, is really useful and family
Mhm.
friendly. But you're right. If you haven't also thought about what is going to happen for those 5 and unders, then
Mhm.
you might be family friendly, but only for a certain component of families.
Right.
And there are some hotels that are like, we only welcome kids 6 and up. And I understand that maybe you will welcome kids 6 and under, but you're doing nothing. You're tailoring nothing about your hotel to the 6, 5 and under, then that's a whole
Well,
different
and
question, you know?
to your point, this is again just messaging. So instead
Yeah.
of just a blanket, yes, we're family friendly, like having a sales presentation or a conversation at a conference or a trade show or wherever it might be, having a more nuanced conversation to say, we are family friendly and we really cater to families with children who are ages 5 and up. Oh
Yeah.
my God, if that
Yes.
additional sentence was included, the
Yeah.
the it would make a night and day difference for how I'm envisioning your hotel and the types of clients that I'm envisioning sending to you.
Yep, yep. And then there are certain places, like there's a couple of places in Antigua is like strangely kid friendly in that their kids clubs all start earlier than every other island. I like can't figure out how Antigua figured this out, but they just have more, I think, more hotels that kids clubs start at 2 or 3. And I
Cool.
know that, so I like know to look there when I
Cool.
have families with toddlers. But then there are some hotels that really market their like younger kids clubs. Man, what a way to stand out in a market because
Mhm.
it's really hard to find kids programming in the Caribbean in particular. Again, at these European family hotels, it's much more common for childcare, I think, to
Mhm.
start younger. But in markets where it doesn't exist, like it's this is where I'm like hotels, like, do you know what you could have if you like
Mhm.
set yourself up to make life easier for parents with kids under 5?
Make it known to us.
Yeah.
Make it easy for us to find that information. Because I feel like I'm sure a lot of hoteliers are listening and being like, we offer these things. Why are you so
I
angry?
can't
And
wait
I
for
would
them to
say,
tell me.
we don't know who you are and we
Yeah.
can't find you. I think that there is in our industry, and this was kind of like my like boiling of frustration that really started the hive, is I actually don't believe that there are just quote unquote no options for what I'm looking for. I think that the problem is that they're out there and I can't find them. And I'm going to all the trade shows. I'm in all the Facebook groups. I'm talking to all of my advisors. I'm going on FAMs. Like I'm doing all the things. And I still wholeheartedly believe there are incredible options out there for the client that I am searching for. And I am not able to connect the dots
Yeah.
with my current resources. And if you are in the business of we are partners. I am trying to find you and you're trying to find me. So why is it so difficult?
Yeah.
So I mean that's like the fundamental core frustration of why I started the hive. So if you're offering these things, it needs to be more
Yeah.
like easier to find, more available, and talk about it more.
And gosh,
Um,
I think the room for opportunity there. I've seen a few DMC partners who do like family fams. Like we've talked about this at our host agency
mhm,
about whether that's like a thing you could do. Again, I bring one child with me often when I travel, and that because
mhm.
is because it keeps costs down and it allows me to experience a hotel with a child, even if I'm not experiencing it as my whole family. It's the caveat that often I can fit in a smaller room with just one child, which like it doesn't quite reflective of that first part of our conversation.
Sure.
But there are a lot of fams that are, I get my own room on a lot of fams. Like I could have a kid in that, like the minimal cost of encouraging us to bring a child and then tailoring the activities to families.
Mhm,
I don't think it
mhm.
would cost hotel partners or DMC partners much more. It's more about who's their target. But if you're a DMC partner or a hotel collection that like really does cater to families, doing a family fam, like there
Yes,
should be
please.
family travel trade show. Like these things, like it's a huge market that could
Yeah.
be like much more accessible and like just learned about more
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah. To your point about some of the older kids, so sometimes once your kids kind of age out of a kids club, the next thing I look for are activities.
Yeah.
So if you are at a resort style accommodation that's offering this full brochure or portfolio of activities, I'm looking to see what's appropriate for kids and like
Yeah.
how many options or like what percentage of your experience portfolio can a family with an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, like how many can they actually, if we narrow it down and say the whole family wants to go do something, how many options do they really
Yeah.
have? And if it's a very small part of your portfolio, then I question if you're really family friendly,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
what are they going to come and do? The kid doesn't want to go to the kids club. The parents still want to do their thing. They want to do things all together, but you're not providing any
Many.
of those ideas or any of those options. So I am looking for those like action. And it's okay if they're paid, but are you thinking about families? Is kind of what I'm
Yes. Are you
looking
thinking
for.
about that? Exactly. Are you thinking about families and have you like come up with a good slate of activities for a range of people,
Hmm.
like of ages. I
Hmm.
think that's right. Now, again, the flip side of that is that I send a lot of families, to Belize and Costa Rica, and I'll send families there with small children that can't do a lot of the activities that, like, those are pretty adventure destinations. But
Hmm.
we have
Hmm.
a really honest and clear conversation up front where I'm like, you're going to go to this hotel and here you're there for 5 days. And here are like the three great
Yes.
half and full day activities you're going to do. And I want you to
Yes.
like right away shake off this idea that you're going to look at that kids programming and you're going to be like, why is there nothing here from us? Because most of the activities are going to be for kids that are not
Hmm.
your kids' ages. But I can say you're going to love these three activities. And those are the three activities you need to fill a resort week. But
Yes.
that has only come with tons of experience, right? Like
Yeah.
of being able to do that. That would be a way could never plan that trip with the resources I have if that was the first trip
Hmm.
I'd planned to that hotel. And so if somebody, I also think like sample itineraries for families, of okay, this family with a 5 and 8 year olds coming, how would you suggest they spend their time here, given that your activities are
Hmm.
more geared towards other ages? And that can really
Hmm.
sometimes help you figure out like if it's a good fit. If you could ask that question before you
Well,
book.
because families ultimately, no matter how old their kids are, toddlers, 10 or 12 or teenagers, families need to be able to envision themselves on that
Yes.
trip. Mom needs to be able to envision herself doing whatever she wants to do, whether it's going for a walk with no one around, going to the spa, whatever it is. Dad needs to envision himself doing what he wants to do. And then they need to envision themselves doing things all together as a family. And if you can help paint that picture, whether it's us coming from our personal experience or whether it's the hotel helping us paint that picture, if we haven't yet been there, you can consider it sold. Like they're
Yeah.
going to book it. It
Like,
is with all of this information that we're
yes.
looking for. Ultimately, what it comes down to is when we can't find pictures of the pool, we can't understand where the splash pad is, we can't see the kids club, we don't fully understand the programming, we don't understand if the activities are appropriate for whatever whenever there's all these question marks, what it ultimately comes down to is the family cannot envision themselves there
Yep.
having a spectacular time. And so they don't have those words.
Yep.
And so they're just
Yep.
like,
I
I
don't
don't think this is the
know.
right one, or oh, it feels a little bit expensive, or
They'll
they'll
just
start
say to
saying
you,
other
that doesn't
reasons,
really
but
seem
it's
that kid friendly. And they can't articulate it's because,
mhm,
and that's what I have clients say that to me sometimes when I haven't done it. Frankly, if I haven't done my best job presenting an itinerary where they're like,
mhm.
it doesn't feel that kid friendly. And I'm like, it's because you know what? On this, I didn't do a good enough job helping you really
Yeah,
picture like where your kids are going to feel in that moment. I just stayed at like a
exactly.
wonderful hotel that you recommended to me. So check it out. That again, on first, I showed up at this hotel and was like, it's really formal. Really? Did I make a mistake coming here? I'm not sure this is going to be really kid friendly. And at the last day, they told me that they often schedule my favorite tour that I experience with my son right at the same time as the whiskey tasting for adults, and that they can like let your kids go do that tour while you go do the whiskey tasting. And I
Mm.
was like, and now I will send every client I've ever had to this hotel.
Which
And
was
that's
the tour that your kid could do by
the
themselves?
ferry tour. It was a ferry hunt. It was in Scotland. So
Oh,
this is a hotel in Scotland. They do a ferry hunt that they've designed
okay.
for kids. It's like magical. It was like a highlight of our whole trip to Scotland was that we did this
Oh
like
my
ferry
God.
hunt together. But I asked at the end, I said, I went on the tour because I was testing it out and I was like, this is really
Yeah,
fun. I want to do it. I said, if I didn't want to do it, would you do the tour with just my kid? And they were
right.
like, yeah, but if we do it that way, we like to do it within the hotel, and we usually schedule it at the same time as the whiskey tasting, so parents can go. And I was like, oh, you've really thought about this.
So,
Someone has really thought about this. Thank you.
so what I will say is I really love that you had this experience. I've sold this hotel a million times and I never knew anything about this.
See?
And so this is also like hoteliers.
Yes.
I don't know if you're trying to keep secrets. And if you are, then like you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
But I've never sent I thought that you would like it. And I thought that it was going to be okay for families, but I know that you're not looking for a kid forward
Right.
experience. You're looking for an adult forward experience where your child can be comfortable. And so I was like, I think you should go to this hotel
And
because
that's what
I
this
would take,
hotel was.
and that's what this was, because I would take my children there knowing that they would be fine. Now that I know that this is happening, I will actively promote it to families.
Yeah.
So I don't, if the intention is keeping a secret, because whatever, like if that's fine, that's fine. But if the intention is, oh, I wish we had more families, then this is the exact kind of
Yep.
disconnect that I'm talking about. It's like
Yep.
when I'm having a conversation with the hotelier, when I'm talking with advisors, like these things come up. And that is how I tell the story. That is how I paint the picture. That is what I base the proposal on and
Yep.
help clients envision themselves there. But if I don't know that you do those things,
Yep. Yep.
then I'm
Then,
just like, well, this is a really beautiful hotel. It's really, clients really love it. The
yep.
best dinner of their trip is usually at this restaurant at the hotel. And I can't really say anything else because I don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is, I think, the
Ugh.
big takeaway of like, how do you communicate more details about what you offer for families in this much more tangible way and like in a way that shows that you're thinking about it. And I love like
This
a
is
good, yeah,
this has always been kind of my hope with a hive is that when we don't have information about how many rooms you have and whether or not you offer connecting rooms and all of these just like blah 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 kind of details that are like it's just exhausting after you've been at a trade show and listening to this 65 million times. When those details are front and center and easy to find and I can find them whenever I need them, then that enables me to go to a trade show or a conference or a luncheon or whatever it is, a webinar, and never have to spend a single second talking about
asking about
how many
rooms.
rooms you have and if you have connecting rooms and if you can accommodate families. My like the perfect world for travel advisors and for hoteliers and the connection here is that all of that information is so easily accessible on the Hive or wherever you want to put it.
We can talk about
That
the
then
ferry tours.
that then when I meet you, you can tell me about the ferry tours.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to know. That when I'm traveling halfway around the world to go to a conference or a trade show, I want to learn about the ferry
Yeah.
tours.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to hear about the year the hotel opened and the new award your Michelin star chef
Same.
got. These are table stakes. I expect that.
Yeah.
Put it in your directory on the Hive. That's fine. I want to know about the ferry tours.
Yep. I want to know about the
This
ferry tours. It's right. It's
this is
magic. It
incredible
was
because
literally magical. Like made my whole trip.
this
Yeah.
is what enables me to go to a client and say, there are a million hotels in the Highlands in Scotland and you could stay at. This is why you're going to stay at this one because
Yeah.
you would love the ferry tour. And they're
Yeah.
like, sign
You
me
would
up.
love the whiskey tasting and your kids would love the ferry
Exactly,
tours.
exactly. I would be doing the whiskey
Yeah,
tasting, and
yeah.
my daughter would never come home from the ferry tour.
That's right.
She would
So
literally be
right.
like,
You
I
know.
live here now.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like little things too. Yeah, it just there is this, and it's why we go stay at all these hotels, right? But I've loved that
Yeah.
the
But
goal
we
here
can't
is
be
we
everywhere and do
can't.
everything.
Yeah,
So this is a perfect segue to our final point.
yeah,
Kid friendly doesn't mean the same thing to everyone.
yeah,
I think there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of people that if we say what hotel this is, they would be like, I would never send a family there. Like, why? And now you
yeah,
were happy with your child there. I have not been yet, but I know that I would take my child there. So less about us and more about clients who like they're traveling with their kids. We know the age of their kids, whether it's a resort or not a resort. What do you ask them or what do you think about to like really understand what like flavor I guess, of family friendly they're looking for and which hotels are going to make your short list for which you feel are really going to be a good fit for them?
yeah. I think I ask a lot of questions about, like the question told you before about, do you prefer higher luxury with a smaller room or lower luxury with a bigger space? That helps me get both at room configuration and really helps me kind of get it like that question tells me a lot too about what the client prioritizes, because clients who are going to prioritize sort of the higher service and like the things that come along with a more luxury hotel will answer that strongly.
Mhm.
Clients who waver, you're sort of like you just get a lot of information from that. I do ask a lot. I like to ask parents sort of like what their pain points are with travel, what makes them nervous. So like most of my clients are families who have never used a travel advisor before. They are families who are newer to family travel and maybe have some sort of like level of like pain point, because that's sort of like what I help families learn how to travel, and asking them sort of like what creates anxiety for you about travel, and will tell a lot too. That's where they may say it's figuring out where my kid's going to eat for every meal, like what they're going to eat, where they're going to eat. That tells me I have to pay attention to the restaurant timing and the dining. It's like saying,
Interesting.
I don't want to be at a pool where my kids are screaming and feeling that they're like, that people are mad that we're there.
Hmm.
That's where you're like, okay, you might not do as well in a quieter hotel that I still think works really well for families. So you and I sort of talked about this example earlier, but there's a great hotel in the Caribbean. I love it. It's high luxury. It's small. It's intimate. I stayed there with my kids. I loved it. And I know right away
It's
it's not
also
for
known for
everybody.
honeymooners.
It's known for honeymooners, and I loved it with my kids. It's known for honeymooners, but the vast majority of their rooms, not the majority, at least half of their rooms are 2 and 3 bedroom villas. So like
Oh,
they're yeah, like
that's
they have
interesting.
honeymoon
Okay.
suites, but a lot of their rooms are villas with multiple bedrooms. So they're like asking for
Oh, okay.
families in that sense.
Yeah.
So step one, room configuration,
Yep.
great. They have a really shallow, calm pool, not pool. The beach is really shallow, super calm. The island has a ton to do for families. So you're getting there, right? They don't have a
Mhm.
kids club. They don't have a ton of kids programming, but I stayed with my kids and loved it. And I've sent probably half a dozen or more families there. I've never had a bad like no one has ever come back to me and told me this hotel isn't family friendly, but I've had two other advisors on my team go visit it and they were like, "Ooh, I don't think I'd send kids here. This is really a honeymoon hotel. Like why would I send kids here?" So even among my team, we disagree a little bit about how objectively family friendly this hotel is,
Mhm.
and that's when it really
Mhm.
becomes like the subjective fit of are you comfortable at a hotel where there might also be honeymooners around with your kids? And that's a little bit of a parent question. Like if you're a
Yes.
person that gets anxiety when your kids are loud and there's some quiet people around, you might not want to go there. I'm not that person. Like I think that like kids are people and like my kids are
Mhm.
also generally like well-behaved kids. I don't have two
Yeah.
rambunctious boys. I have like
Yeah.
kids that sit at a table. Like everybody's kids feel different. Everybody's parenting
Yeah.
style is different. So
Yeah.
trying to ask questions for clients to understand like what's going to provoke anxiety for them and reducing
Mhm.
those pain points is like how I sort of try to approach it.
I also try to understand from clients their expectations in terms of whether or not they think that their kids need to be entertained.
Yes.
So usually the number one question that clients will like tell me everything I need to know without even me asking anything is when they're like, "Well, what are our kids going to do?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Here we go. I take my children to the beach in the winter when it is absolutely not appropriate to swim. We were in South America in their winter, going to the beach every single day. And the number of people who are like, "But what
What
do
did your
you
kids do?
do?" And I'm like, my daughter needs a stick and a rock, and I will have to drag her home. Like, the idea that I have to entertain my children, I just have to simply make sure that on the Hive,
There's a
we have
space for them.
that there is space for them and that the people see them as humans. What you
Yeah.
said at the very
Yeah.
beginning. If I'm in a hotel where the staff and other, well, let's just focus on the staff because you never know who else is staying there. But if the staff see them as small humans, that's all I need.
It's all gonna be fine.
If there's
Yeah.
a kids club and there's something fun happening, we'll check it out, but it's
Yeah.
not required. It would be great if we could have dinner at 6 and not 8, but
Yeah.
we'll order in-room dining if we have to. Like all of the other things are like nice to haves, they're not must-haves. But like some families absolutely feel that like their children must be entertained or else
Yes.
this will be a horrible trip. And if I that tells me a lot
Yes.
of what type of hotel we're looking for.
I wrote a whole newsletter and it's one that I like reuse multiple times about the hermit crabs that my kids played with for 2 hours that actually was at that same
Hmm.
hotel we were just talking about. And I know another
Hmm.
travel agent who then went there with her kids and wrote a newsletter about the hermit crabs. And you're like, your kids are gonna play with and like that's again, it's hard to picture, but yes, I wouldn't send or what I actually like to ask families, and this is really a lot of families assume that when they're going to go to a resort style stay or a beach trip or whatever, that the entertainment's going to come from the hotel. So like this hotel, I send, there's a million things to do on this island. You just have to go out and do the activities. And then you come
Sure.
back to your very peaceful hotel that makes space for your kids to play with hermit crabs. That's not
Yeah.
everybody's vision of a vacation. And so figuring out what their vision is, I try very hard to push my clients towards those types of vacation experiences
Hmm.
gently,
Hmm.
but not everybody does that, and that's fine. Like some clients really have a clear vision of what they want, and I wouldn't recommend that hotel for
If
parents that,
you
yeah,
if clients are offering up this information, then I just generally ask them like, how are you envisioning spending your time? And I don't
yeah,
ask the question as a family unit. I ask mom, how are you
mom,
envisioning spending your time? Dad, how are you envisioning spending your time? And if they're telling me a bunch of things that like requires them to be alone and not with children, I'm like, we need a kids club or
yeah,
babysitters.
yeah,
But if they're just like, we just really want quality time and like great food and good pools, so I'm like, okay, this
okay,
opens up the options. We don't necessarily need like hour by hour programming at a kids
yeah.
club. So if you just simply asked each individual how they envision spending their time, I think you could also learn a lot to try to
Yeah.
dig into the nuances a little bit.
I think that's right. I think those are the types of questions that we do like to ask about activities. I'm trying to think of what else. I always ask, are you a person? Some people are really nervous about hotel childcare. They don't trust the idea of putting their kids with anybody on vacation. And that's fine. So then I start to ask I like to ask, I'm like, my husband once told me I wasn't allowed to put this on the internet, which was the like, are you comfortable going to the hotel bar while you leave your kids in the hotel room? He was like, you can't say that publicly where anybody could find out that you said that. Here I am saying it on the Hive. But you there's a way to ask the nuance. We stayed at this like really wonderful hotel last summer. Again, small footprint, and our kids are old enough to watch a movie on the deck of our room while we were at the restaurant, like 30 feet away, having a 3-course Michelin-starred meal. Finding ways to understand if parents would love that, or like I sometimes put those examples out there. If I told you could do this, and you can see their reactions of, ooh, that would make me really uncomfortable, or yes, I want that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to your point, ask a pointed question and just watch their face. They don't even need to reply, and you can tell what they think about that.
Exactly.
Same with the budget question. What's your budget? Well, asking what your budget is not helpful. If you say, well, how do you feel about a $15,000 to $20,000 trip? Watch their face. Their face will tell you all you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same sort of parenting, asking people about their parenting. You end up I have a lot of calls that are a lot more about parenting styles than about travel in a lot of ways, because you're trying to identify like what a family is going to feel comfortable with.
Yes. Amazing. Lee, this has been super, super insightful.
Really
I
fun.
really enjoyed kind of diving into this with you. I think we have so many similar ideas just from the way that I've built the Hive around the family-friendly specifications, the way that you've built mandatory travel, and the way that we personally travel. I can't wait to go to Scotland for this ferry tour.
Oh my God, it's great.
And I'm going to email them and be like, I've been booking you for years. Why have I never heard about the ferry tour?
So it's somebody new.
She's the
person who designed it is relatively new, like in the last years. Like it's not something they've had for years. So whatever.
That's good to know. Well, if any hotelier is listening and you're looking for ideas, a 60-minute unicorn, ferry, monster truck, whatever it is you want to come up with for 6-year-olds, while the parents go do a tasting.
Yes.
Oh,
would be like
my
amazing.
gosh. You want to look for a new revenue line item for your P&L? I will pay for that all day long. Every single day. We're going to have a 1-hour ferry adventure while mom and dad go do something interesting.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a kids club. It doesn't have to be a babysitter. But if you will take a little pack of 6-year-olds for an hour, oh my gosh, I will kiss you, and I will
every
pay
parent
whatever you want to charge
and you'll sell your whiskey to her all day long.
Exactly. Like the revenue is double because you're selling both. Package them up as a little family afternoon treat.
Yes.
Oh
it's a family package.
I hope people do this because we don't have hotels to execute on this idea.
Amazing.
Oh, Lee, thank you so much. It's
you.
always such a pleasure. I look forward to having you on again soon.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Hive Mind podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you know a friend or colleague who would enjoy this, please share it with them. If you would like insights from this episode landing in your inbox each week, join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. And remember, if you'd like to contribute to a future episode, whether it's sharing your destination expertise or your experience touring hotels, just head to thehive.travel/podcast to learn more and express your interest. We'd love to have you join the conversation. Until next time.